All right. You can take
Alrighty.
over. Oh wait, I wasn't even sharing. Oops. Okay. You go.
I can go. Okay. Alrighty. So this is my little presentation I created and I called it Creating My Own Bundle. So just gonna close the videos. So my little introduction, so hello, Ani, Nango Stijnikas, Bisin Don Jaba, Bisin Don Da. I'm 22 years old from Nipissing First Nation and currently reside here. And I've just graduated from university with a Bachelor of Arts in Indigenous Studies with a minor in Gender Equality and Social Justice. And I now currently work as a cultural services helper in a child care organization. So I enjoy sewing and crafting, especially when I can create items that reflect my culture and identity, whether that's regalia or any other kind of handmade pieces. And these practices allow me to express myself and stay connected to my roots in Nipissing First Nation. Powwowing and dancing are not only ways to celebrate who I am, but also strengthen my spirit to my community. And when I'm not away at a powwow, I'm trying to learn my home language. Also, powwowing and dancing is also a way I use to stay physically healthy so that I'm working out my body and keeping it good and keeping everything else in the four directions nice and balanced. Oh, I don't know where my mouse is. So I am a woman's woodland dancer and a jingle dress dancer. I put a lot of work into learning the dance styles that I dance so that I'm putting out good medicine as well as um, knowing what I'm putting out there and what I'm representing. And the ways that I learn are through watching or listening at powwows or listening to those who have been dancing for a long time. And that's when I say to people, I encourage them to reach out to those dancers who have been dancing for a while and bringing your tobacco or your sama to offer that thank you. I first started as a jingle dress dancer, and I that was the first regalia I created, which meant a lot to me because it showed me that once I'm creating something for myself, I'm able to move forward in something new. And then I transition to dancing women's woodland. I've spent many years learning about the dance of women's woodland, and to this day, I'm still learning more and more each time I go to a powwow. So these are just some photos I have here. So on the left, I have my grandmother's dress, also commonly known as a strap dress. In the middle, I have my woman's scrub, and that would be under woman's woodland. And then on the right, I have me in my jingle dress. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of what each dance style is. So the first one is the woodland category, and this dance originates from the tribes surrounding the Great Lakes. So that would be the Anishinaabe people, the Ho-Chunk, the Chippewas, the Potawatomi, and all those other nations. And the term woodland is more of a blanket term for all the different styles. So like I was saying earlier, the strap dress, scrub, there's also some form of different appliques. Some people who are Mohawk, who dance smoke come into the woodland category, but woodland stands for the region that these regalias come from. So like I said earlier, the Great Lakes, but the Great Lakes woodland area to be more specific. Next, we have Jingle. It's pretty straightforward. I'm sure everyone knows what this is, but this dance originates from Whitefish Bay First Nation, which is near Kenora, Ontario. And this dance is a jingle dress, or sorry, the jingle dress is a healing dance. And whenever someone is offered tobacco to help with someone's healing journey, that's where the jingle dress dancers would come in and support that. Um, yes. So I first wanted to start off by like introducing kind of my business and everything that's behind what I do. So Nungo Sewing is my brand and I use it to help with my business. I created an Instagram and Facebook account so that I'm able to separate my personal stuff from my business side of things. And on those pages, people are able to see prices, their order status, things I've made, and they're able to reach out and ask any kind of questions. And I've also wanted to mention that I created my own logo because that's another little thing I do is digital art, not as much as sewing though. So some of the things that I commonly make are ribbon skirts and regalia. So for regalia, I've made jingle dresses, men's grass outfits, tea dresses, and different kinds of woodland outfits. And then I also specialize in split toe moccasins and beadwork, but that's only for me and only occasionally. So, how I started sewing when I was 14 years old and I'm now 22. And since then, I've taken on some pretty awesome orders. And for example, I had a local high school commission me to make 20 ribbon skirts so that when the youth came back to school in September, they had something to participate in their Indigenous events. I also have created regalia for students in the high school who have just started dancing and also some moccasins for friends and family and babies that have just come into the world. So, as I mentioned before, I sewed my first regalia when I was 14, which was in 2016 at the North Bay Indigenous Friendship Center. I attended some of their regalia crafting nights, and that's kind of where it all started. I started making my first jingle dress when I was there. And then once those crafting nights ended, I had no one else to go to. And so that's when I reached out to my grandma because I knew that she knew how to sew. And she basically got me to where I am today. And she's the one who taught me all the tips and tricks of sewing, how to make patterns. And even to this day, I'm still messaging her, hey, can you help me make this? But this is just a nice little picture of her showing me how to lay stuff out. Um, so for the question I get most often is what inspires my work. And for me personally, I'm inspired by my community, my family, my friends, the land that's around me, and so much more. So I've included some examples so that you guys can see what I mean by that. So on the left side, if you were to take that applique design and take it down right the middle, it's actually the anatomy of a fish because that was what our people did. We were lived alongside the lake and practiced fishing for our sustenance and stuff like that. In the middle, I have otter tracks beaded onto my strap dress. And then on the right, I have lady slippers, which were kind of something that my great grandmother really liked. That was like her favorite little plant. So you can kind of include pretty much anything that you want into your regalia, and that's what I choose to do so that people are able to see my community and my story in my regalia. So for um, this skirt is inspired by my Anishinaabe name, which is Nungos. So you can see it has all the constellations in there, the colors of the sky at night. And I just wanted to create that to represent and honor my Anishinaabe name. And then this regalia is inspired by the community I come from that is surrounded by Lake Nipissing, but it also represents my connection to the water, being an Anishinaabe Kwe and carrying that life water in my body and always knowing that as women, our job is to take care of the water. So that's why I chose lots of blues and blue velvet just to represent water as a whole. So creating your own regalia allows you to set your intentions with it. That could be I'm creating this regalia to help heal what I've been through, or I'm creating this regalia to try something new, or this is a new achievement in my life, or just learning a new dance style. You also feel more connected to it when you know it's something that you've put together for yourself. And like I was mentioning earlier, you can choose what you want to include, whether that be a certain design, certain colors, or certain beadwork with your stuff. And you can also choose to honor something. So all the items I create represent who I am, whether it's the colors I choose, the designs I create, or even what my intentions are, just like I was saying in the last slide. But the pieces of my regalia not crafted by me also have significance. For the items I create myself, I try my best to reflect the people of my nation. So that could look like choosing only florals that we have within our community, or choosing only, if you want to keep it super, super traditional, picking only those certain fabrics that we had within that time period. But for my strap dress, that comes from the Anishinaabe people, which is why I chose to make that so that I can honor the ancestors that were here before me and kind of have that connection and bringing back what we used to have. Oftentimes, people add to their regalia or their bundle when a new life milestone occurs, and that could be having children, losing a loved one, graduation, an achievement, or just anything that you would like to showcase. So this is kind of, I'm going to go through my personal regalia and what each little item represents for me. So the barrette in the right picture, right above my bow, was created by my great grandmother. So I wear that to honor her and just have a piece of her in my regalia and when I'm dancing. My moccasins were given to me by a close friend, and I wear those to represent our friendship. And my fan was created by one of my teachers in my community who taught me about my history, culture, and language. So, all those together, I have a piece of someone within my circle and in my life that I get to dance with each time. A lot of the accessories that I'm wearing in my regalia, I've bought in at powwows. So like some of my necklaces, my bags, the cuffs I wear on my wrists, the earrings, and even some of my rings. And for me, although I didn't create those and I don't know like exactly where they come from, I like to use them as a memory of where I've traveled to. So when I buy something, not only does it add to my bundle or my regalia, but it's also like a souvenir. So I could say like, oh, this necklace I bought at in Marquette, Michigan, or this one I bought it in Shakopee, or this one was from Wisconsin. So it just kind of shows the trails that I've gone through throughout my life, traveling to different powwows. So before I start crafting, I always like to remember that when I'm making things for another person, a piece of my spirit goes into that item, and that's why it is so, so important to craft in a good and healthy mindset so that you're not putting anything negative into it. And to help clear your mind and spirit, you can smudge before you're crafting, or if you become frustrated when working, you can take a break and come back to it. Because once you are putting that negative energy into someone's regalia and they begin to wear it, they might start to feel those negative things and become unwell. So you always want to make sure you're happy and you're healthy when you're creating stuff so that everyone who's around you can feel the good medicine. So I'm just going to share a little bit of the creative process that I do before starting and from pretty much start to finish. There's a couple of videos in here too. I like to make lots of TikToks on how to make things, so there's a couple little clips in there. But for this specific part, this is for when I'm sewing a regalia. So when I first start a new piece for myself or someone, the first thing that I ask for is measurements and sizing. And after that, I make sure to take note of all of them so that I know that what I'm creating is going to fit them or fit myself. And next, I choose my color palette or ask what the customer wants. And usually they'll give you a couple colors and then they let you kind of have some creative freedom with the rest of it. And so that's why I like to add some accent colors and do more than one main color. So you can see kind of in this little jumble of a whole bunch of skirt kits, there's different colors and stuff in there. And then I write down exactly what I need so I'm not trying to run out of the house before supplies for the sole closes. So that could be fabric, ribbons, elastic, thread, adhesive spray, bias tape. I'm always forgetting zippers. So I try to write it down so that I have everything at once and I'm able to just sit down and create what I'm trying to do. So this is just a little video of the work I do when I'm creating split toe moccasins. So I'm just showing me cutting out my pattern, resizing it, readjusting, coloring, all that fun stuff. So that's basically what I do just to cut out the cuffs and vamp, and then I go through the applique work. So if that video felt long for you to watch, imagine cutting all that out 100 times. So that's pretty much what you have to do when you start with little applique. And then once I have all my materials, I sit down and I have a little notebook that I keep all of the orders that I have with their name and all their measurements. And then I say if I'm making a ribbon skirt, I'll draw like a quick outline of a ribbon skirt with all the measurements so I can visually see what I'm creating because sometimes I get numbers mixed up or I don't know how to cut something out. So it just makes it easier. And then if the same person places an order, I'm able to look back on those measurements if they've stayed the same. And then once I have all of that, then I will cut out my material, double checking everything, making sure I'm not going to be needing to go buy new fabric because I cut something wrong, ironing it, and then I lay it out. And then that's when I begin sewing. So there's a lot of prep work that I do to ensure I'm not wasting any material or I'm not ruining something because I'm doing it the wrong way and trying to rush. So I basically do the same thing with my moccasins, except I like to draw out my designs on Procreate, which is what you saw in the video I was just showing, but also in this small picture down here that you can see my reflection in, apparently. That's kind of how I draw it out and I show the customer, like, do you like this? Do you need me to change anything? It just gives a visual so that they're able to see, like, anything before it's put down permanently. So this is kind of what you start doing once you start picking up with your business or starting to get some money for your work. Um, and when that started happening, I decided to put aside some money to invest into new supplies, such as an embroidery machine, which is this little video up here, a new iron, some new sewing aids, storage for my thread, the mannequin that's in this photo, some shoe shapers, a serger, kind of all the extra things that just make the crafting a little bit easier and move a little bit smoother. And then once I started becoming better at my craft or gaining more confidence in the things that I create, I began sharing how to make certain things. And in my current position, I often host workshops for youth to learn how to create moccasins and regalia and ribbon skirts. So on the top photo, this is actually a 6-year-old girl who finished her own pair of moccasins in 2 days. And then at the bottom here, this is another youth who was creating their own ribbon skirt. But it's just really nice to see once you're passing on your craft, how lots of these young ones, lots of these youth have skills that they've never even tried before and actually really excel at. Just like this young girl who didn't even want my help when she was trying to make them. But it was really nice to see her have something to go home with and to be like, wow, I made this. So that's kind of what inspires me to continue going and to continue teaching and learning new things. So that's my presentation. Anyone has any questions? If there's anyone that's new in here? Anyone have any questions? Kaylin.
Yeah, what motivated you to start doing all this stuff when you were 14?
So when I was in middle school, so like the eighth grade, I had this really awesome teacher who she showed me, she was kind of my introduction back into my culture because I didn't really know anything back then. She got me into beading, she got me into learning how to sew. And then once I went to high school, I was in this awesome Ojibwe class. And our teacher brought us to a lot of powwows. And so I kind of wanted to be able to attend these powwows, but also really get in the circle rather than just being like a viewer. And so I just got dropped off at the Friendship Center one day, and that's that's kind of how it happened.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
I have another question, just a general question that people might ask. Um, what would you tell youth that want to get into powwow dancing? Because I know you travel a lot. Like youth that want to do that, how would you help a youth get into doing like powwows all the time like you do?
I would first tell them to find like a safe person that's trusted in their community who already does that so they can kind of tag along and know that they're going to be safe where they're going and their parents will be okay with it. Um, and I just like you kind of start within the area. You're not just gonna like one day be like, oh yeah, I'm going all the way to Wisconsin. Like you have to work your way around so that you can get used to kind of like the protocols and stuff like that. But always be kind and make new friends, and one day you'll end up far, far away at a powwow.
Okay, awesome. I don't have
Mhm.
any more questions at the moment, but I did want to say miigwech for your presentation, and you're super deadly with all the work that you do.
Well, thanks for showing up.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Begrudge Brooklyn for coming and having your presentation. I'm just gonna